All right, we got a trade idea for you today, or at least something I want to bring on everyone's attention, bring to their radar. First, it's important to always look at the VIX. So we have the VIX here on the daily time chart. We got the Heikin-Ashi candles up right now. So the VIX obviously represents volatility. You want to go long when this is on the downtrend, right? So you're kind of looking at it almost like SQQQ, an inverse to the S&P 500. We'll show you why the VIX is like this in a second, or at least this candle right here. So it's a pretty strong uptrend right here, which is interesting. I was paying more attention to Bitcoin and crypto and everything the past couple of days because it was surging. But it has sort of decoupled a little bit from the index in the past, and the indices the past couple of days for the S&P 500 and everything. We'll show you those in a second. Have actually kind of been going down. Looks like we're in a little bit of a breather, which is always a good opportunity, right? It's a good opportunity to sit patient and wait for some entry positions. So Heikin-Ashi candles, once again, right here are on the uptrend for the daily. Let's bring up the weekly and see if it shows anything interesting. All right, so you can see based on past history, we had 3 previous strong candles out of the upside. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. You can count that as like maybe 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That was that sort of big slump right there of the downturn, right? This is where the whole inflation scare and everything was. So if we're really looking at the data from these last couple of points here, 3, 6, and 4 about. So we could maybe see another week or two of the downtrend on the indices. If I were to say it more accurately, we can see another couple of weeks of higher volatility. All right, so let's bring up the S&P 500. We're on the weekly, so it's not really showing any downside yet. You can see a natural decrease on the S&P 500 as of late has been 1, 2, 3, a little bit of a bounce, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, a little bit of bounce, 1, 2, 3. And a bounce. You could probably maybe count that doji as another one. So again, we could be looking at a couple of weeks breather. Obviously, this can keep going, right? You can see this long stretch right here. Could really not be anything crazy, but we'll know in the next couple of days. So here's the S&P 500. So see how that correlates with the VIX. Now, I want to use that to look at Bitcoin because recently we talked about Bitcoin and a couple of the mining stocks yesterday. So if you go down to the hourly, and I have these simple moving averages. There's 4 of them here, all locked into a 50 period moving average for a different time frame. So the white is the 50 hour. The blue is the 4 hour. The yellow is the 1 day. I think I have that right. And then this is the 1 week. Let's take a look here. So 4 hour, 1 day. Yep, 1 week. And then the 1 hour, which is the white one. So the closer to the price action, like this white one right here, the closer to that price action, the more quickly to move, the shorter the time frame it is. I also have the weekly up right here. I believe it's the weekly for the MACD. Oh, it's the daily right now, and we're on the 1 hour. So it's going to be hard to see the weekly on this time frame, but we can zoom out a little bit here, and you can see that it's above the 0 line, which is right here. So that's technically uptrend, but really what you want to see for an actual uptrend, let's just zoom out so we can see it closely, is the blue line over the yellow line. So we're still in a depression, I guess, right here. We're still in a downtrend according to the MACD on the daily. What that could signal is, this could be a double top, or an inverse head and shoulders. I meant to say. Turns into inverse head and shoulders, does something like this. So it comes up because that's a higher high, right? I'll show you in a second. So we could come down and either have a higher low or match this low right here, which is an inverse head and shoulders, and then that signals the next upstream. And what we would get at that time frame, obviously this is arbitrary, but from this time frame here, bring you close to September. You got to remember the Fed has been looking at lowering interest rates starting in September. So if you're in Bitcoin right now, you have to make the decision of whether or not you want to just hold on to it for a couple months and see what happens in September when everything starts to lower, or at least that's probably when everything's going to start looking more bullish. And we could just be seeing a little bit of a breather leading up to that, right? Trying to have all those big institutions trying to get their last shakeout in, because that can usually take about a month or so. So just to recap, again, on the daily, you really want to see this blue MACD line. Oh, I guess still got the drawing up. Here we go. You want to see that this blue line right here go above this yellow line, and that will change this histogram to green once that happens. So the difference in the MACD right here is reflected on the histogram. The stronger the blue is above the yellow line, the stronger that this green histogram is going to be, and vice versa to the other side. So looking back, eventually everything goes back to the norm, but it can run for quite a while, right? So theoretically, this could be the beginning of a downtrend on the MACD. So something to pay attention to, obviously. I want to go down to the hourly, though, on Bitcoin, which is what we were doing before. And just for the heck of it, I can just bring this MACD down to at least the... I guess we can do the hour, I guess. Let's see what it's on there. So, yeah, you can see it's still in the downtrend, which makes sense. So now that these simple moving averages make a little bit more sense in what we're doing with them, let's zoom in. Let's keep all these in line here. Zoom in a little bit. This price action, at least as of right now, is bouncing off the hourly, and it is above the yellow line, the yellow S simple moving average, the blue simple moving average, and the orange. You really do also want to have this blue above the yellow, because you want it, that's really going to signal a stronger uptrend, essentially. With that said, the price action's above all of them, which means it would actually have to break through all of them to continue its downside, which typically price action patterns continue more so than they change, right? Unless they're really volatile stocks, which I'll show you in a second. But with that said, what I mean by that is when the price action is above these lines, it tends to like to use them as support. It'll retest a little bit usually before it continues its upside. So there is an advantage there for going long. And at least as of right now, it did not break through. If you see the price action just completely fall right through, well, that's not a good sign. It means it tested and failed. Okay, so real quick before we get into this trade alert that I want to talk about, I just want to show you what I mean by like the choppiness here. This is Clean Spark. It's super choppy. I actually entered in Clean Spark and Mara. I'm still in the green right now. And I'll show you why I did that in a second and why I still think there's a lot of potential for this. But looking back, there was a couple of days where Mara just ripped. And if you look at the history here on the daily, it doesn't tend to continue that for very long. And I almost closed out all of or some of my position here, mainly because of that past history where it just doesn't go up for very long. I kept it open though because of the technicals on the weekly. So we're going to go to the weekly quick and we're going to change this MACD to the weekly there. Now let's just start with the MACD, zooming in. Whoops. So zooming in there, we are above the 0 line, and we have the signal line crossing above this yellow line for the first time in quite a while. So that's signaling that we might actually see some more continuation. Now, it would be, what could happen is it can kind of come up and then just be a lower high and fall down, but that typically wouldn't be without at least some sort of breather, which would give me another opportunity to scale out of that position, kind of going back to where its previous highs was, like its very recent previous highs. But at the same time, it could just roll over too. So anyways, this is indicating a bullish entry. Then if we go down to the hourly, we are clearly above every single one of these moving averages, which is all bullish. So all of these are showing bullish, which is why I held on to it. I also held on to it too because, again, of the September potential of lowering of interest rates. I think Bitcoin's next bull run is near. There could be some time left. It could even, interest rates could be pushed back anymore. It's looking more and more clear like Trump is going to win the election. Obviously, nothing's guaranteed, but nothing has really gone in Biden's favor. And so what does that mean? Well, he picked J.D. Vance to be his running mate. And I don't know too much about it, but I have done some basic research on it. And he disclosed in the past that he's owned crypto. I don't know if he still does, but he is a pro-crypto guy. And we could at least see someone close to Trump being in a position that maybe could be talking in his ear a little bit. Keep in mind, the vice president really, as far as an actual practical and logistical standpoint of how the government works, doesn't actually have that much power. They're really just a tiebreaker. But they do have power in as far as influence. So those are my justifications for keeping it open. However, again, how efficient do you want to be, right? How, when you look at your chart, your P&L, how consistent do you want to see up, or are you kind of allowing yourself a little bit of volatility there? So that's all I have for you. If there is any stocks you want me to analyze or anything you see, oh, I almost forgot. There is a trade call out that I just want to bring to your attention. It is T, which is AT&T, I believe. Either way, ticker symbol is T. The reason why I brought it up is because the MACD, at least for right now, is in the uptrend. It's been uptrending for a while, so maybe it is due for a breather. But at least on the short term right here, you're seeing a continuation of the upside. So maybe it's a 1 or 2 day play. And if you go to the weekly, it's been running green for a while. So this is almost kind of showing that we could see some downturn. But if we see some downturn, wait for that next strong uptick of the green candle on the Heikin-Ashi and get into it off of that one. So that is all I have. Once again, if you have any stocks you want me to take a look at, leave some comments down below. If you like the content, please hit the like button. It is the easiest way to help out the channel. Until the next video, we'll see you next time.